Welcome to Dear Romance Writer, everybody. We're three writers, actually two today, who always deliver happily ever afters, offer questionable advice for all of your relationship, work, and life problems. I am sad to say that the fabulous Zio Axelrod had a last-minute visit from the roofers. That is not a euphemism. So she will not be joining us this time. So send all the good vibes her way, because having roofers at your house is usually not a good sign. And so Zio's not with us today, but I am Avery Flynn.
And I am Roan Parrish, and we have a great show for you today with the fabulous Melanie Johnson. Melanie, welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what your latest book is, all that good stuff.
Yeah, hi, I'm Melanie Johnson, aka #the Riding Lush. I am a contemporary romance author and writer of romantic comedies. My most recent traditionally published book was Too Good to Be Real, which is right here, kind of a love letter to rom-coms. I know, the corgi, the seagull stealing a bikini.
I love that.
Yeah, so it was a love letter to rom-coms. We talk about our Panini books. This was one of mine that I just decided to go completely bonkers, and it's a resort that delivers people the rom-com fantasies of their dreams. So take Austenland and romantic comedies and put them together. And the follow-up to this book will be out in February 28th. It's called Too Wrong to Be Right, and has a hedgehog and a foul-mouthed cockatoo on the cover. So I'm excited about my little animals. Yeah, so I also recently delved into seasoned romance, which I think is hilarious that they use that term, seasoned, for anyone 40 and over.
Yes.
I'm a
the crones of romance. Yes.
So I saw some meme where it was like, when you're over 40, having an orgasm could mean a heart attack. Or I'm like, wait, what? No, we're not that old, please. Like,
oh my God.
You need to go see your doctor. That is a concern. All right.
Come on. So I did That's What She Said, which is the start of a series that I'm indie publishing. The MILFs Just Want to Have Fun.
Oh my God, I love that. I think that's super cute. I love it.
Yeah,
and
which I was a former high school English teacher. So they're all teachers in their 40s and up, having the fun.
Oh, we just lost you for a second, Melanie. But while we've lost her here for a second, gotta let everybody know that for the second week in a row, we have a giant Grogu fan. So if you are listening instead of watching, you can go hop on over to YouTube and check out her little, I'm just gonna call it Baby Yoda. Her Baby Yoda's in the background. So there you go.
So thanks for covering whatever was going on.
Yeah, technology is always awesome until it's not. So yeah. I say that as the queen of writing the text but never actually hitting send. So yeah. If you're ever waiting on a text from me, nudge. So
yes. Well, so our letter today does not deal with technology at all, but it does deal with things that you can control or sometimes can't control, just like technology. That was my segue.
I like it. That was stellar. Never would have known you just came up with that on the fly.
Why they pay me the big bucks. Just kidding. No, they don't. Okay. So today's letter is from Rewire. And the column is called Ask a Queer Chick. So here we go. I'm a queer woman married to a straight man, and I could use some help. Recently, I felt my husband wasn't as attracted to me as he had been before, and I asked him if that was true. He initially denied it, but then a few weeks later, during a conversation about sex, he admitted that he has felt less attracted to me lately for two reasons. Because I grew out my leg hair over the winter.
Wait, hold on. Before we go, can we just take a moment of like, for her? Because for him to actually say that, just, okay. Now, why is he not attracted to her anymore? What are his stupid reasons?
Okay. Because I grew out my leg hair over the winter and haven't shaved now that it's summer, and because I've been tending more towards an androgynous look than my usual hard femme style in the last few months. Neither of these is out of the ordinary for me. I appreciate his honesty in saying that as a straight man, he's, quote, not that attracted to a boyish look, unquote. But I still feel kind of hurt because while I understand that he's attracted to what he's attracted to, although I really don't get why leg hair is a problem, I feel like he wants me to tone down my queerness. My queerness is routinely erased by the world at large because I'm in an opposite sex marriage. And while, of course, I want to be attractive to him, this is something I find emotionally difficult to compromise on. What should I do?
Okay, the leg hair thing is really, really fucking stupid and doesn't even deserve to be addressed. I do see, and now this is coming from an old straight lady, with the if she has always, she says she, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if she has always tended toward the androgynous look, and then maybe it wasn't every day, maybe it was an every other day type of thing, whatever it was, because she said she usually did a hard femme style, right?
Yeah, she said she used to, but that neither of the that the androgyny wasn't unusual for her, just that
right,
she
that's what
right
me too, that's not new. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so if that's not new, I am confused and concerned. All right, that's kind of where, if I was writing this letter, that's what it would be, confused and concerned, because that points me towards a situation, and she doesn't say how long they've been married, right? Or together.
Right.
Okay, so what that leads me down to, and we've talked about this before, is this where somebody falls in love or is attracted to the idea of the person rather than who they are? And I understand, that attraction is not something that you can control, right? It's not something you choose. It's, all of those. I get that. But it also doesn't sound like this is a surprise to him. Mm-hmm. Right. So that is kind of what really concerns and confuses me.
So it's more about, since this isn't a new look for her, it's something that he has seen and obviously been at least okay with throughout their relationship. What else has changed for his attraction, for her first to recognize and feel it on a visceral level, and then for them to have that conversation? Like something else might be playing around in the background.
Yeah, that's what I wondered as well. Because she says that she started to notice it and he denied it, but then weeks later he said yes. So like clearly this wasn't like something that just happened overnight. She really noticed it. And I'm torn because like part of me does really believe that we have initial like attraction to certain things and that isn't a choice. But there's a difference between something not being a choice and something being natural, right? Like I don't think it's a choice what you're attracted to, but I do think that it is shaped strongly every single day for years and years and years by the culture of what is considered.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So it to me, it almost like in this instance, it almost doesn't matter whether it's like he's just naturally not attracted to, like she said the thing, like as a straight man, I know many straight men who are very attracted to androgynous looking people. So I don't think this is like a categorical thing that he's like, well, of course, me and all the other straight men aren't attracted to this. So this clearly is about him specifically.
Right. And I didn't get that he was saying it was everybody. He's just saying me as a straight guy, I'm not attracted to this look. Right.
But as a straight guy doesn't mean anything unless he thinks that it's categorical.
No, I could see that argument.
Anyway, that's not my point. I just was like, I'm curious because I'm torn because one part of me, right, like I was saying, thinks that it's, he probably likes what he likes. But the other part of me is like, I mean, there are people who get together who do not have the same style at all, where the one person dresses in really bright colors and the other person is like, I actually prefer more muted colors, or someone's a punk and the other person's preppy. Like, I just think that if your husband isn't attracted to you because you've changed your style of dress, that is deeply, deeply superficial and upsetting and weird. And so I'm like on Melanie's wavelength, like what else has changed? Mm-hmm. And part of me wonders if it's that he is looking at her, and it's not that she necessarily looks different, but that he like finds her queerness unattractive, not her androgyny, not her leg hair, but that if he is looking at her and is like, I don't find it attractive to go out and be like seen as part of a couple where my wife is queer.
I think you just hit it. I think you just hit it, because it is not her. She has not changed things, right? She's changed out her leg hair. Ooh. Ooh. And she has changed the amount of hard, as she puts it, hard femme style, right? Those are superficial things, right? She has not changed her. And so I think you hit it when that first attraction starts to wear off a little bit, right? When you start to settle in with each other, right? And you're not getting hit with those, oh my God, hormones constantly every time they even like breathe within 6 miles of you, right? So I think they've made it through, no matter where they are in their relationships. I think they've probably made it through that section of things. And now what it is he is concerned about the perception of what other people are seeing. And I think a lot of times we will stereotype that is a female thing. People who are socialized women, so concerned about what other people think and all of that bullshit. It is actually just a cultural thing. And guys are really, it hits just as hard with them. So I am thinking that probably maybe somebody said something in his life, whether it was a buddy or a friend or something like that. And that triggered him to start thinking about that and go, especially if it's, not like she hasn't done the androgynous look before, right? Or things like that. I don't know. It's just so weird, but there's something else that I agree. There's something else that happened. And I really wonder if it is not what she has supposedly changed that has driven this within him, but other people outside of their relationships' perception of her that then reflects back on him and
Right.
his ego.
Was there something in the I'm trying to remember what the wording of the letter, because she said she noticed it before. Was it more where he doesn't want to be seen in public with her? Was that in the letter, or was it?
No, it was just the attraction.
Right.
Right.
And that's, I'm going to be fully honest here. I am married to a man who likes to have my legs shaved. Like, he is one of the guys who does appreciate that, but he's never once been like, I'm not attracted to you, or there's times where it just doesn't, I'm not going to shave. Like, and that's never stopped him from doing anything. Like, if you know what I'm saying. So it's like, there's more going on here. Like, especially if you're with someone for a long time, bodies change, we get older, we change, and the attraction is good. Like someone mentioned superficial. There's the attraction is deeper than that. And I think when we started and you, Avery, said, let's take a moment, just like, because it is gut wrenching to hear that your partner isn't feeling that physical pull to you. That should go deeper than what's on the outside.
Yeah.
I mean, we say physical attraction, but there's a deeper level to that.
Right.
You know what I mean? That should supersede leg hair,
right,
or anything else.
And I think that's what is so what's so upsetting to this letter writer probably is like to realize that your partner's attraction to you is based on something as simple as like whether you put on these or those clothes in the morning. And honestly, I would be devastated if I found out, like if I showed up at my girlfriend's house one day and she was like, ooh, you're wearing purple, boner killer, like it's so, I don't mean to say that like people can't have preferences, obviously, but I would be really devastated to think that it was so, oh God, what's the word? Contingent. So contingent on like specific things. Whereas like, to me, attraction it's how someone smells. It's how their body feels against you. It's the way they taste. It's how they kiss. It's like, there's so much more about it that like, after the initial, okay, you're attractive enough that I'm like gonna want to have sex with you or whatever your version of that is. It's like, I don't know. Does it really, I don't know. It doesn't really make a big difference to me, but I know it does to some people. But I think that like, this is a hurt that's about the contingency of attraction. And like, I don't think she thinks that he's rejecting her queerness necessarily. I think she thinks that he wants her to like look straighter, which will have the effect of erasing it in public. But I really do like, I do wonder if even if no one in his life said something about it, even if he's not aware of it, like he may not know what is going on for him. He just knows that he isn't as attracted to her. That like, it sounds to me like what's going on for him is that he has his entire life been socialized to find certain things attractive, not just because he finds them attractive, but because they tell him how to act and how to behave. And I think this is one of like, so I'm pansexual. I have dated people of all genders. And one of the things that I notice and like know to be true is that I can act the same way on dates with a cis man and not a cis man and be read completely differently, even doing exact same thing. And part of that has to do with the way that like people socialized as men, especially who are like heterosexual and dating people who are socialized as women, there's this whole unspoken but deeply internalized like my partner acting quote unquote in a way that I find feminine makes me feel masculine. Like that's the algebra equation of it. And I wonder if what's happening too is that he's seeing her androgyny and he's like, well, if she looks more androgynous, I see that as her looking more masculine. And then I don't know how to be like, I do not know how to arrange my sexuality in and around this new thing. And if that's the case, I actually think that that's much better news than him just being really superficial, because if he were just really superficial, that sucks and you should dump him. But if what is happening is that like he maybe he hasn't been in a relationship with a queer person before and just needs a little bit of educating and needs a little bit of like, hey, you are a cis straight man who's never had to consider your gender at all. Let's talk a little bit about how dating someone who isn't straight, what that might mean for your thoughts about your own gender, about our relationship, about the dynamics between us, because that's a conversation you have to have if someone isn't queer and has never dated someone queer.
Well, so they're married. So I am kind of concerned if they haven't had that conversation.
I know, right? And maybe they did, but like before when she was still dressing a certain
maybe it
way,
felt more academic.
Yeah, they didn't care. Maybe they
than real life.
And he was like, yeah, I mean, like what I think is honestly most likely if he hasn't dated another queer person is that he was probably like, your queerness is hypothetical but not actual, as in like I don't have to see it in front of me because you're dating me. Not in a nasty way, but just in a like, well, I don't know how this would affect anything. And lucky for me, it doesn't matter, because if you're in a relationship with me and you're a woman and I'm a man, then you're like effectively straight. And he probably just like didn't think about it and didn't think it was going to be a problem. And now some things have changed. Pandemic, obviously, like a lot of us want to be, I mean, I haven't been out of my pajamas in like 4 years, so that's cool. That was even before the pandemic. It had nothing to do with that. But anyway, people want to be comfier. People aren't like going out as much, so they're not shaving as much or they're not whatever. And so maybe there are just things that have happened that have brought it up for him and made him think like, oh, this is suddenly becoming an issue and it's not like it's not one that I enjoy. And now, you know, she feels terrible.
Well, and I also think there are sometimes, this letter obviously talks about, you know, somebody who's queer and somebody who's straight, right, in a relationship. I think whenever you have those cross groupings, I don't know what else to call it. I know that's not a great phrase, but you know, whether it's somebody who comes from different social classes, somebody who two different races, two different religions, you know, all of those things, there do get to be points in time where what seemed, you know, far down the line or what seemed really academic and just in theory all of a sudden becomes, oh yeah, it's this is our story. And I know we've all, you know, I have friends who are different races as a couple, and you know, it's one of those things where, well, I thought I knew what was going to happen when we went out in public, but I really wasn't expecting to still get dirty looks in 2022. What the fuck is this shit? Right. And where the other partner is like, well, no shit. welcome to the world, right? So I think there are things like that where it's just a complete dive into a pool that they've never been into before. That can be a little shocking. I think also just things like these two, at least, God, I hope they're still really early married, because this would be even more devastating if it was like 10 years in. But, you know, people who are different religions, yeah, you talk about, you know, well, what are we going to do? But then you have kids, and then you're taking them through, you know, religious education, or are you not taking them through religious education? Or all of a sudden something becomes more important to one partner than it had been before, and you got to like kind of recalibrate those things. So there's just so many things. And even just like Jack grew up, my husband grew up, you know, wealthier than I did. And so even things like him talking about vacations or thinking about what gifts to buy, and I'm like, what are you talking about? You know, it took me a long time to get past the $30 for a birthday gift rule, right? That's the rule, $30.
Still not past it.
Yeah, I'm also very old. So those of you who are looking at that going, oh my God, Averys a cheapskate. But you know, so I think that sometimes when you get in a relationship, you start things off, it makes sense. You think you're on the same page. Relationships continue, relationships morph, things change. And I think even when things don't change, when people, what's the old real world? People stop being polite and start being real, yeah. Right? Once you get to that point in your relationship and you start to go, oh, I thought it was this, but it's actually that. I think there are adjustments that need to be made. What this person should do, though, in my opinion, she already started by having the conversation. I think she really needs to sit down and say, okay, my concern now is that this is you know, you're erasing my queerness, or you're trying to get me to not appear queer, basically closet her, you know, in our relationship. And is that what it is? Or is this just literally seeing somebody with unshaved legs who's, you know, completely androgynous, just doesn't get your boner up, right? Which one is it?
Yeah,
so yeah,
like,
I think she's got to be blunt, basically.
I think so too. And he may not know, like it could be that this isn't so much I'm like unattracted to you as I don't quite know how to be attracted to you as myself, because I feel that I'm the same, and I feel like maybe something about you has shifted. And like, I don't know, my suggestion is get out of the shower, totally clean, no makeup, just out of the shower, don't shave your legs, like do whatever you want, and then seduce him. And after you have amazing sex, be like, obviously you're still attracted to me, not in a manipulative way, but like, I think that if you can contextualize something as, hey, you know, when I am not anything except exactly me, when I'm completely naked, no clothes, no style, no makeup, no nothing. If you're not attracted to me like this, you're not attracted to me, you know? And then it's like, it's not about being androgynous. It's just about being naked. It's not about like, yes, maybe you won't have shaved and there's still that, but like, I think that if you can have a positive sexual encounter also, and not in place of talking, in addition to talking.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm like, yeah, like that would be something that has to also be a piece of it for sure.
Definitely. But maybe just like having that intimacy will, it's not like you're tricking him like, haha, see, you are attracted to me. It's more like he has a block up in some way about her style and what he thinks it means. But he's obviously had sex with her without any clothes on whatsoever. So he if you can
maybe, who knows? Maybe they're both never nudes.
Oh my God.
And they're in their shorts in the shower, like Arrested Development.
I've heard the phrase never nudes.
Oh my God, you've got to watch Arrested Development then. And there you go. Sorry, I'm bad. I apologize. I'm shutting up now.
No, it's fine. It's like he'll never have sex with anyone who's not wearing 4-inch heels or something and like lipstick.
I Yeah, I think and also I think she has to also, they do need to have this harder conversation, which, like you said, she's already opened that door by asking that hard question,
Mhm.
and asking it again, not letting it go when he denied it. She's, and that's the thing, when you're feeling something and those feelings don't go away, you know, it's easy, sure, it'd be easier to just like, okay, take his answer at face value, but she's obviously not comfortable, and she's still not comfortable, and that's why she has to ask the next harder question, and hopefully they can come to a place that they can start to unpack some of the things that, Rowan, you were mentioning.
Right.
And maybe also ask herself some questions, because is there something going on internally on her end that she hasn't unpacked that might be affecting, I'm not saying this is her fault, that's not what I'm saying, but I'm saying that there could be some things happening in her own mind, or how she's presenting herself, or how she's feeling about herself, that he's picking up on, that she's not, that she hasn't quite figured out yet.
Yeah.
So
I think that's
Yeah.
such a great point, because I am curious if like part of the change in changing from like hard femme style to a more androgynous style is just aesthetic, or if she's starting to feel different about herself and her relationship to gender. And if that's true, then like your partner should be somebody that you can discuss that with. And if he's not, that's not going to work long term, because I think, like, I don't know, I in some ways I don't think it matters that she's queer at all for this letter. Like, the bottom line is, what do you
Yeah.
change in order to please someone else? But like, I can't overlook the fact that she's queer because of this dynamic of like, she's a queer woman who is read as straight because she's in a relationship, and when she's out with him, and like, that's not her fault or his fault. That like, all the people who are making those assumptions are the problem, but like, you can't affect them, you can only affect yourself. But yeah, if you are like having, like, so many people, because they come out as queer later, don't get the like first 20 years of experimentation that people who are straight get, where they get to like play around with all different sides of how they express themselves. And so sometimes I think that stuff just happens later when you're queer. And so if you're already married, and I mean, not that whenever you found out you were queer, realized you were queer, but like, if you're married to someone and are just starting that down that journey of like, who am I? What's my relationship to my gender, my sexuality? Where does my queerness come into play? What do I want to communicate in terms of the way that I'm dressing? Like, it could be that you are going to change more in the future. And if every time you are embracing like a new way of presenting yourself, this becomes an issue in your relationship, it's just not gonna feel great long term. And if I were you, I would tell your husband that. Like, I would say something like, do you anticipate that further changes in my appearance, no matter how much I love you and I'm committed to our relationship, are going to make you feel insecure in your attraction to me? Because if so, like, we should probably talk about that now, because I can't guarantee you that I'm going to look the same, even though I've changed once. Like, I'm not going to stay here forever necessarily.
I wonder if subconsciously he is taking her going more towards androgyny as a rejection. And that could then be, so he's like, okay, so maybe she's not attracted to me anymore, even if it's on a subconscious level. If, that maybe she is exploring that side of herself more, and, I'm going to get out before I get pushed out. Right. With that, and not saying that that is the case, but I do wonder if maybe that's part of what he's reacting to, because how you dress, how you present yourself is very superficial, yes, but a lot of times also it goes to show, like, or I shouldn't say a lot of times, it can go to show, emotional changes in belief, changes in want, all those things. Like, if all of the sudden, I went completely no makeup, one color hair, very modest clothing, all of those things, that would probably, I would think, especially Roan, seeing me on a weekly basis, you would be like, so what's going on? Right? You would be like, a change is afoot. And I'd be like, well, I decided to become a fundamentalist Mormon. And you would be like, oh, that is different, right? So I think they're, while it is superficial, it also can reflect inner work that we are doing within ourselves.
I think that's so true. And I have a friend who always used to say, you either dress to hide your personality or you dress to express it. And I think that there are some people who the shift in style is a shift from dressing to hide who you are to dressing to express who you are.
Right.
Not always. Sometimes it's from hide to hide or from express to express, and it's just a difference. But like, I think that that's really smart to point out that he could be taking it as a rejection because like, unfortunately, we live in a total patriarchy, and men believe that, like, our men are taught all the time to believe that women present themselves as like a buffet to be consumed by them, and that is the second a woman opts out of presenting herself like an ownable, seducible object, she's rejecting fundamentally the only thing that he has to offer. And of course none of that's true, but that's like the social conditioning, that those are the waters we swim in. And so I mean, I definitely, like, I know for a fact that this happens and it is a problem for men. And and I think that he may also not, like, if he's not queer as well, which I feel like if he were, she would have said that in the letter, he might just not understand that.
She says he's straight.
Okay, so cool. Yeah, so he may just not understand what she's saying about how just being in a relationship with him erases her queerness in public spaces, and that she's unwilling to start making these changes back because she wants to be legible to other queer people. Like, when they talk, I mean, it could be that she needs to say, I know that to you it might seem like a small thing, and like, why not compromise? But to me, it's part of a much larger global experience that I'm having that you just aren't having. And so when I get that from you at home, where I'm supposed to feel comfortable to express myself, I don't feel safe anymore, because, you're out in the world and everything sucks. And then you're supposed to be able to come home and like be yourself, express yourself, feel safe. And when for whatever reason you can't feel that way in your own home, something is very wrong and has to be addressed, because no one wants that.
No. Oh, that's interesting. That's a good point.
Yeah. Well,
look at that.
Okay. Well, relatedly, I don't want to get us, I have more questions. So
Roan always has more questions.
I literally always have more questions. But Melanie, you were saying that your husband has a strong preference for shaving your legs, and like sometimes you will and sometimes you won't, but it's not a deal breaker or anything. I wonder what both of your thoughts are in general about, like, how much do you consider other people's opinions in your grooming or your style? And it doesn't have to be like a partner. It could be friends or readers or the public or your mom or whatever it is. But yeah, I'm just curious, like, or have you had relationships where you really like changed the way you looked, or like, yeah, I'm curious about all of it.
I think well, you mentioned you mentioned the last couple of years, and just like I've gotten more comfortable just being in my workout clothes all the time, which my husband also has professed not an appreciation for.
Mine too. I'm like, I'm a writer. What do you mean you don't think me in yoga pants is cute? Loser.
We're around each other 24/7, and like I used to change out of them and put on makeup and make it, and it's just like F it. Like, just what this is. And it has not killed the romance. Like, we were able.
Wait, I have to appreciate the fact that you just said, you know what this is. It's amazing.
In my work and like a deadline and the same outfit for multiple days. Like, but I do think that there are certain elements, that I do not like to go out to the grocery store looking like that. Like, I will do it, but like there is like this kind of like the face I want to present to the world. Like, I put on makeup before I came on here, that kind of thing. So, but I've never been one to dress like according to the norm. Like, I never was one of the girls who rolled my jeans, again, showing my age. But I always kind of had my own, that's why I thought what you said was so fascinating about it being, you know, either hiding who you are or showing who you are. And I think I was definitely someone who picked out outfits to show more of who I was, I was someone who didn't want to be just like everybody else or dressing the same as everybody else. And I have a daughter who is now doing the exact same thing.
Oh, that's so gratifying.
Oh yeah, sometimes. Well, and I also have to point out, if you guys haven't seen, Melanie does, or at least you did photo shoots with like pinup girl type things and stuff like that. So you also tend to have a lot of fun with your clothing and your makeup and your hair and your presentation and all that.
Empowering, because you think, oh, it's such, we're doing like this thing where it's like so, traditionally feminist, this kind of boudoir 1950s vintage photos. But it was I felt it was like incredibly empowering to have to do that experience and to have this kind of like and I was also the photographer who was fantastic, who made me feel very comfortable. So that was kind of like, I did that when I turned 40 and had so much fun. I went back and did it again. But so anyone who's thinking about it, do it as a gift to yourself, to appreciate you. And
the pictures are beautiful, just so you guys know. She looks super, super cute. And sassy.
But so Avery, what about you?
We've actually had some clothing discussions. So I see clothing as armor, right? I also quite enjoy it. Like, I actually enjoy the makeup part. I enjoy the hair part. I enjoy the dressing up part. I will stay home and put on a dress just because I want to and I like it, right? But there also is, and a day when I don't put on at least some makeup is really weird. It's just really weird. I love it. It makes me happy. If I'm in a really foul mood, going and put on makeup cheers me up. I have no idea why. I think it's probably a control issue. But it's all there. Go ahead.
Oh no, I just both of my girls, like through all the time, like when there was a whole year of not being able to go to school, they still got dressed in full outfits and full makeup because it made them feel better about themselves and made them feel like they could kind of have that bit of normality. So they were doing it just for them, for nobody else. Definitely not for me.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy how we do that? And I do, like, it's, I enjoy clothes. I enjoy fashion. All that stuff just sort of hits a certain spot for me. But when I am picking out clothes and things like that and what I'm going to wear, I am looking at it as, this is who I want to present. Right. And it is apart from me. Not apart. It's like an extension. I don't know. It's really weird. It's not that I'm pretending to be someone else.
Specific version of you. It's still
that is what it is. So like maybe like, going to a kid not baseball so much, because baseball parents are super relaxed, but like with lacrosse parents, they are not relaxed. They are
I have a lacrosse player, so that's funny.
Yes, you know what I mean. It's like in some ways it's like being in a John Hughes movie, right? And you are Molly Ringwald, okay, and not in The Breakfast Club, right? You're Molly Ringwald in Pretty in Pink. So it's very weird. But so those I would be like, I just want something where I can just wear something and be comfortable in that environment, right? So a lot of times my clothes I will pick out to be comfortable in the environment.
So we're talking about versions of ourselves, and I think it brings us back to the person who wrote the letter, and about this particular version of herself that he's not attracted to, and it's so if she's watching this at some point, which I hope that's the whole point of these, right? So to hear the discussion, that, and I think that that there's obviously it's heartbreaking that the person that you love, that you count as your person, is not attracted to you, to all the versions of you. So maybe having this conversation of like what, and we talked a little bit about that, that is it the androgynous aspect of it? Is it the fact that it demonstrates the queerness that is often hidden or erased? what is it about this version of me that you're not connecting to like you do the other versions of me? Because we
Right.
want to be loved for who we are,
all of the virgins.
Yeah.
Or versions and virgins. If you have more than one virgin in you, it's okay.
You contain multitudes of virgins.
Multitudes of virgins. But yeah, I think that's a great point, Melanie.
Me too.
Absolutely.
Did you guys have like were clothes or style or makeup or hair thing when you were a teenager? Like did you fight with your parents about it? Did they ever like not like how you presented yourself? Or
It's funny because there was a point when I was in 5th or 6th grade that I had very long hair and I wanted to chop it. I just wanted to chop it all off. And my parents, especially my dad, was like, so like, no, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. I finally did it. And then I had like feathered bangs and it was terrible.
Ooh.
It was a mistake. I should not have done it. But I did it. And I'm having the same thing now with my youngest, 14, who, she had very long hair. She wanted it cut. We cut it. She wanted to cut shorter. I cut it shorter. Now, and it's like, and I'm like, because it is gorgeous, gorgeous hair. And so it was I'm like, but having to remember, like, this is her, your body, your choice, not to be, I'm not making light of that phrase. But to have to kind of like take my aesthetic and what I find to, and what I value out of the equation so she can be herself. So, yeah. So yes.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
I love that you think that way, though. And that's
hard.
not.
I mean, on the other side, I can kind of see what my parents were just kind of like the,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Avery?
I don't remember ever having like a clothing discussion or anything like that, but I think it makes a difference. Okay, so I've always been short and I think I weighed like 90 pounds when I graduated high school, right? So I was basically a stick. So I think if I was somebody who, again, I think girls and women get punished for their bodies, something they have no control over, right? So if I was wearing the mini skirt and I actually had a butt, that probably would have been taken differently, right? If I had a tank top and I actually had boobs at the time, right? That would have been taken differently, just simply not because of the clothing,
right,
or how the clothing fit me, but how my body was inside the clothing. And I think, so yeah, I actually didn't run into any of that. And I totally knock it up to the fact that I was flat as a board from all directions. So yeah.
That's so interesting. I think that's really true also, that that clothes are read really differently on people depending on what kind of bodies they have.
Absolutely. Yeah. Woo. How about you? I am curious.
Well, when I was a teenager, my father hated everything about how I looked and dressed, and would always say like, it reflects badly on me, and da 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 da. And I remember, and my dad grew up very poor and very like with a mother who was a single mother who was constantly trying to like scrape together money and cared that nobody know their money problems. And so I think a lot of that for him was like an internalized class thing.
Trauma.
But yeah. But like I had my hair dyed every color of the rainbow and I wore like ripped up, I was grungy, what can I say? And I remember my dad just being like horrified and being like, people are going to think we can't afford to buy you jeans that aren't ripped. And I was like, you know what, Dad, if anyone, my dad's a doctor. Also, let me say, like he was not poor when he was saying this still. But I was like, if you have anyone in your life who would judge you because you actually couldn't buy new jeans for your kid, then like cut them out of your life because they fucking suck, which I realize is a huge privilege of growing up like not in the way that he grew up. But yeah, so we butted heads about it constantly and I never changed anything. In fact, probably I did it more just to irritate him.
Shocked face. Shocked.
Yeah. As far as like dating people, I think that if anyone ever tried to tell me not to dress a certain way or like do makeup or not make makeup a certain way, I think that I would actually have a huge problem with that. Not if they were saying it in a like oh my God, you look so great in that outfit. Will you wear that outfit? You know, like that's perfectly nice. But I just know myself, and I think anyone who tried to pressure me in that way, I would like, I don't know, I'm just perverse, not intentionally. It's just how my brain is. And I would like, that would be an instant way to get me to either do it all the time or break up with them. Yeah, as far as like clothes, I go both ways, as with most things in my life. I like, there are some years or like decades or months when I really, really love clothes, love fashion, really enjoy putting together outfits and like finding things that feel great to me. And then there are like years or months or whatever where, as in the last month, the last year, where I just have a million V-neck white undershirts and I wear one every single.
I'm in your color today. I'm in black. We swapped.
There you go. I just wear one every single day because they're soft and comfy and I literally don't care at all. I never would put on clothes or makeup like or do my hair when I'm by myself because it doesn't make me feel any particular way. I definitely don't do it to like go to the grocery store because I don't give a shit. But there are things like I put on makeup for this podcast because I know that I'm going to be staring at myself for an hour and I am not immune to the water that we've been swimming in where I'm like, yes, I'm supposed to have bigger eyes than I do. So I'll put on makeup. And then when I look at myself, I won't be distracted thinking that I like don't look good because of this. And I can talk about advice, which like, honestly, I hate that about myself. And it's just like work to undo it.
Yeah, it's
That's
always
a very
work.
deep turn. But I think one of the things, and I keep kind of coming back to the conversation from the letter and how we look being like, you know, your dad saying how you look as a reflection on me. And that comes back to is her husband feeling like how you're presenting yourself is a reflection on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The message that I'm sending to the world because it's
Totally.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly.
And I think it is. And I can see this man, this hypothetical man, looking at other people looking at him and imagining that they're thinking like, what, you let your wife run around looking like a lesbian? What kind of man are you?
Right.
You know?
Right.
Obviously, we don't know if that's what's going on in his head.
No.
And she won't know unless they have this.
And yeah, they have to continue to have difficult conversations. And if they don't, it festers. This is a fester thing. This isn't my husband hates the fact that I wear, you know, nothing but book nerd t-shirts, right? This isn't that. This is more important than that. So yeah, it's gonna fester. But what won't fester is us, because we have made it through another episode. Yay! See, my transitions are worse than Roan's.
You did use the word fester in the transition, so
fester. We loved having you with us, Melanie. Thank you so much. Please tell everybody where they can find you and hold up that really cute book cover again, please.
Sure. Yeah. So you can find me MelanieJohnson.com. It's spelled MELO. That makes it really easy because my mom, who went to school, she loved the name Melanie, but went to school with a Melanie she didn't like. So in her little bit of pettiness, she changed the spelling.
Amazing.
That is beautiful. I love that.
Yeah. So Melanie Johnson, everywhere on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, my website. It's all Melonie Johnson. You can find me there. All those. Also, the Riding Lush. You can find me that way. And I do some really fun meet cute chats with authors about how they met their significant others on Instagram. And I'm going to have to get both of you on sometime. I had Zio, so I'll have to get you both on sometime.
Dude.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. This was a great conversation.
Oh, good.
Yay. Well, we love having you. This is still June, as everybody knows who has a calendar. It's the last day of June. So this is going to be the last mention that we will give you to enter our 50th episode giveaway. So all you have to do to enter is send in a letter asking for advice on your behalf or someone else's. So you look at that. We'll let you offer advice to somebody else. or ask for advice for somebody else. All you have to do is send in that advice letter to advice@dearromancewriter.com. Go to our website, dearromancewriter.com. We've got a submission form that lets you stay anonymous. Or you can reach out via social media on any of the direct messages. So send that in. You guys have basically until the end of June. So there's only 30 days in June, right? Yes. So this is your last day. Get it in, people. That's what she said. Anyways, thank you. I had to do it. I'm tacky. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us for another episode of Dear Romance Writer. Remember to send in your questions, even if it is after June 30th. And we cannot wait to give you some questionable advice from what will be next episode, another trio of happily ever after enthusiasts. Bye, y'all.
Thank you so much for subscribing to Dear Romance Writer. Remember to keep sending in those letters at dearromancewriter.com. We can't wait to tell you what to do. Dear Romance Writer is part of the Frolic Podcast Network. Find more podcasts you'll love, frolic.media/podcasts.